What's up, guys? Welcome to the Rev Show. I'm your host, Rev Hicks, and today I got a really special guest back into the studio again. It's been like not quite a year.
Almost a year.
You were the last show I did last season. I cut the season short because we had to work on the church. And I just want to say it's kind of like, man, we should have been in this church 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And every time there's like, and I said to the guy, you see what I said to him?
Yeah.
I said, you're going to be here for Easter service.
I wasn't sure that was a joke.
Yeah, he didn't know what this, he was like, no, I'm declaring you're going to be here for our Easter service. But we're here now.
God has his timing too.
We're here now.
Everything on God's timing.
Everything's on God's timing, right? And so we can't make things happen beyond his timing and will.
Yeah.
You know, and then if we do that, we get frustrated with ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
Extremely. And frustrated with God, you know?
Yes.
You kind of take turns back and forth. You start beating up on yourself and you start beating up on God, and then it's like a tug of war.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I got you into the studio today because most everybody I get into the studio this is our conversations we have on the phone. And you got into a good conversation with me about talking about social media, technology and stuff like that. And that's been like what the Lord's been laying on the lap of this podcast lately, and even just everything. Because again, you know, and I don't want to keep reiterating it and saying it over and over again, but if there's things that while we preach behind the pulpit, that's, you know, this does edify.
Yeah.
But there's a special allotted time for church to edify the church in another way.
Yeah. This
is more informative instead of me just preaching the gospel to you. And that's what I like about these podcasts. You know, I like them that we can get together and we can it's basically like me and you riding the car on speakerphone. That's what this is. So, we're not going to spill all the beans right now, but we're going to, you know, as this conversation goes on, we're going to be, I mean, there's some stuff, man, that blew my mind when you're talking to me about.
Yeah. A little bit.
It's some cool stuff, man, really cool stuff. But before we roll into this conversation, do me a favor. I need you to click this, like this, and subscribe. Please.
Hit that button.
Channel. Hit that bell, baby.
Yeah.
Because it helps the old algorithms out. You know, it just gets it out there, and it's a slow but sure process. So let's put some wheels on this conversation, man. You grew up in the 80s. You were born in the early 80s. You grew up 80s. Yeah. I was 4 years old in 80, and I was 13 years old in 89. Like you name it. And even though like there was newer styles and newer trends and newer things, it just seems like after the 2000s,
completely different,
radically changed,
completely different.
Everything. What do you see in that? In what ways do you see that things changed?
I mean, just in the way that we communicate with each other, the way we view each other, the way we handle everything changed. Once internet was a big part of that, but coupled with the iPhone, it was lights out. And kind of piggybacking off of Uncle Tom, like what he was saying in your last episode, this is all pushing forth towards a new world order. All these things have to be set in place, all of them, and we use them so freely. Like we use them innocently, but what they were designed for was a little bit more sinister. And like that's what I was sharing with you about like the Tower of Babel and how that relates to social media, how that relates to this incoming beast system and Antichrist. All of that is where, you know what I mean, where that led me to.
Yeah.
I don't,
let's roll, man. Let's do this.
So this is the scripture.
Buckle up, y'all, because this is where we get We
Everyone knows this
yeah.
scripture, but I'll just read it from mine. It says, "You should know that," this is in 2 Timothy chapter 3. "You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. People will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred." We were talking about that last,
Mm-hmm.
mixing the sacred with the profane.
Mm-hmm.
They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly.
Wow.
I like the way that's put, right?
Yeah.
Stay away from people like that.
Yeah. What translation is that?
That is the New Believers,
That's bad.
New Living Translation, the
Yeah,
NLT.
that's nice. I love NLT, man.
Yeah, this is my cousin Bill Smith gave me this Bible when I first got saved,
Mhm.
and it's the Bible I buy for
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah, me too.
that's
Yeah.
just getting to know the Lord. It breaks it down
I love
perfectly.
how that put that.
And it's so you look at all of that, and it's like this is how do you get there? How do you get to having the love of many wax cold?
Mhm.
How do you get to children being disobedient? How do you get to having no self-control, being lovers of themselves? You put this
Yeah.
in their hands,
Yeah.
and you start making them more concerned about themselves. You have no time for anybody else when your whole goal is yourself. And whether you do it on purpose or you do it out of ignorance, this phone, social media has found a way to make our lives or ourselves feel like the world revolves around us. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I'm guilty of it myself.
Yeah.
I used to years ago, when I first got married, saved, when I would wake up in the morning to take care of business, I always had a Bible.
Yeah.
Next to my chair, my throne.
Yeah.
And that would be my thing. Read the Bible, scripture. We look at years later, I have to pry myself away. Well, as soon as I get up, it starts off as an excuse. I'm gonna check the weather.
Yeah, check the weather, check the email. Maybe I got a job there.
Right. I'm gonna check this, and here I end up looking at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then I'm like, the Spirit of God's like, no, no, I'm first.
Yeah.
And I would never have to deal with that before.
No.
You would never.
No.
Going down the road, I have my phone on a little magnet holder. I'll be just cruising down the road, and I'll have the GPS on. I'll hit Facebook. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what am I doing here?
Yeah, on the road.
On the road. I yelled at my son for doing that stuff. And then I'll just like, it'll kick. I'm like, no, wait, and we even preaching, I'll look at, there's less paper Bibles. There's less pages turning.
Yeah.
Everybody, and there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, if you do that, you do that. But there's the phone is becoming part of us.
Yes. It's an extension of yourself.
It's an extension of you.
It really is.
What do you got to say about that?
Well, it's set up like that. So if we go to, like I was talking to you the other day, we're past the point of a democracy in the United States. The goal is to go global, global government. That's the end game. You can't have an antichrist, a beast system, a false prophet, a battle of Armageddon, the return of Jesus without having everyone in one mind and one accord. That's the goal. So in order to have that, there was never a time where, let me just read the description. I'll bring this up. It said in Genesis 11, at one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. They began saying to each other, "Let's make bricks and harden them with fire." They said, "Come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches into the sky. This will make us famous
Wow.
and keep us from being scattered all over the world." Never has there been a time since the Tower of Babel where all people are all united together for the same reason, wanting to be famous for no reason, just out of pure pride, and speaking the same language. The new Apple earbuds will now come with
Yes, I seen
an
that.
instant translator in your ear.
Wow.
We're all now in the same hive mindset. How important was it that at this time, Noah's sons were still alive? So when they constructed this big tower, they had firsthand accounts of what the flood did, the havoc that it caused,
Wow.
the judgment that was caused upon it, everything that happened before the flood and then after the flood. So these people came together and they said, like, we glance right by that scripture. Like, there's only been a couple times in the Bible where God has stepped in and said, cut, hold up.
Yeah.
We got the flood,
Yep.
Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yep.
and the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And then he's coming back. That's the fourth one.
Yeah.
But, well, I should say, he did. So 5, the most important one.
Yeah.
God did come. But there was only a couple times where he came and kind of cut man back.
Yeah.
Cut his power back, I should say. That's when something was going on for God to be like, this has to stop. It wasn't just like a really cool structure and they were crazy. How about they thought they were going to make it to heaven? No, obviously there was something more to it. They were trying to either enter into heaven or pull something down from heaven.
Yeah.
They were trying to invoke an entity, a God.
Yeah.
They were trying to stand in defiance of God. As God would look down upon them, they wanted the structure so big that God could see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like the Titanic, so big that even God couldn't sink it.
Wow.
Like, make a statement. And also to avoid judgment. They didn't make a platform a mile long. They made a structure as high as they could. Why? Because they knew that there was once a flood.
That's good.
And just in case God acts up, we're going to be ready for him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like,
That's crazy.
What they were trying to do was avoid judgment, be their own gods, pull something down from God, from the heavens. And that's what's going on today. The same people who are trying to smash two atoms together, matter together, to prove that, the Big Bang Theory is real, that there is no God. That's their words. Like, we're trying to prove the Big Bang Theory. If they could prove that,
right,
then they could say, see, there is no God. That's what they're telling the public. Yeah, we're trying to smash two atoms together. But when you're pulling matter together, you're trying to really throw a wrinkle in time. You're taking this and bending it. So you're either trying to pull something out or allow something to go in.
Yeah.
And if something comes out, really the only other dimension there is the spiritual realm. So if the last unveiling is that.
Yeah.
Those same people are the same people who invented the internet.
Wow.
They call it the World Wide Web.
Yeah. But wait, hold up. Okay, you're getting into CERN. Is that what you're talking about? CERN.
Yep, CERN.
Okay, and CERN is a great big scientific
like collection of like top scientists
over in Switzerland.
Yep,
and it goes deep into the ground, and they're supposedly they're like you said to collide atoms to get into like how the universe is created.
Yeah.
But basically you're saying that.
Yeah, they can only do that every so often. When they try to do this experiment that they're doing,
Yeah.
they can only do it every so often because it takes so much energy
Mm-hmm.
to do it, to create this, and every time it goes like higher voltage,
Yeah.
goes to show you how powerful God is that they can't even get the energy
Right.
that it takes to smash two atoms together to create
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And God is all
That's
powerful,
cool.
but they can only turn it on at certain times. Remember, I don't know if it was, when was it when we had the solar eclipse
Mm-hmm.
a year or two ago? They were turning on CERN. It was something to do with the light and the energy and all that. But those are the same people that are behind that. They created the World Wide Web, which started out as a group of scientists just being able to keep in contact with each other. But they call it the World Wide Web. Of all things, a web is something that catches its prey.
See, that's awesome.
Caught up into.
You get caught up, and that's the thing is, like you said, it doesn't kill its prey.
No.
It just captures it.
Yep.
And it could stay there for a while, live there for a while.
Yeah.
And we've had the webs for how long? Like, I mean, the launched publicly.
I think since like 91 or something like that. Yeah.
90s, like early mid 90s. And look, you got that generation.
It's coming up.
Yeah. You got that generation that it was, I don't want to say it was innocent, but we looked up stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Cats,
Yeah.
rims, tires, lowered vehicles.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff.
Favorite bands, posters,
yeah,
like, songs, stuff like that.
It's turned into just an addictive, just nuts.
They prove that it's actually the way they've broken it down to a science to the fact that Meta or Facebook, whatever you want to call them, they're not stupid. Instagram, TikTok, they're not stupid. They found a way to trigger your brain to release the same, it's called dopamine, but the same chemical that you get, like when you do something great or you're, skydiving, whatever, that same release is, it's connected to like the way people who have gambling addictions, pulling that lever down. That same feeling for someone pulling a lever down, waiting for it to, is the same way they've rigged these platforms for you to open that app that hopefully maybe you got a like on that picture.
That's what
you know what I mean? You ever get like a notification? You're like, okay, cool. Oh no, so-and-so posted something. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? You're like, that had nothing to do with me.
Likes
but they get you to pick the phone up.
Are an addiction.
Yep.
And that's what you are. You're looking for that. You're looking for some kind of like, just, man, I want that. They like my picture.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is it's creating a culture of
narcissism. Yeah.
All right. Hold that thought because we're going to get there.
Okay.
But even just putting on an act, a show, I don't really know if I shouldn't say this, but I know a young married couple that's really close to me and has a baby. And I happened to be in the vicinity of before they took the picture.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the picture on Instagram, it looked like they were the perfect little family.
Right.
It was perfect, smiling, everything. Even the little kid. The kid knew just to, the kid knew what to do.
Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before that, it was all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
It was crying, yelling, screaming, that far from dropping some bombs. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just even the child knew just at that minute, come on, we're going to take a picture,
It's
and
programmed. You're already programmed.
You're already programmed. And like you said, that dopamine, that chemical in your brain, take away an iPad from a toddler.
Right.
And see what happens. I mean, it's like,
I fast social media for at least 3 weeks to a month every January.
Yeah.
And that's harder than the food.
Yeah.
That's harder than the food.
Oh, you shake.
Yeah.
You shake over. And that's what I'm saying. That World Wide Web was from a great big stupid computer.
Yeah.
It looked like a big television set. Now it's this.
Yep.
It's a little phone. You got information at the tips of your fingers. And like you said, you can all around the whole entire world. You can communicate with everybody
Yep.
in their own languages. You can see what's going on. And that's what's even undermining like the main news, you know.
Oh yeah, this election, it showed
Oh,
you how powerful
yeah.
social media is,
Yeah.
that it literally is folding up
Yeah.
major news channels. Like
Nobody.
nobody goes there anymore. You might just your local news, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it showed you how powerful it was
Yeah.
by just this past election.
Yeah. Well, look at this. We're doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought? We're on YouTube, and most people get their information from podcasts.
Yeah.
Most just from listening to people, you know, and there's so many groups of people that get their information from, you know, me or other people or whatever, and they'll go there. And that's what social media has done.
Yeah.
Is undermine the mainstream media, which could be good.
Yeah.
There's good into it. I was talking to Tom the other day, and it's like, you know, there's all kinds of conspiracies.
Yeah.
Right. The thing is with conspiracies is I'll ride the bus with you so far.
Sure, yeah. I might have to get off the
But
next
I
stop.
might get off at some of these conspiracies. But what I'm trying to get at is like you can't say that all the government's bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're still good. Where there's good, there's evil always present, but it's vice versa. If there's evil in it, there's not everybody is evil. Like we'll say NASA. You did a driveway for a guy,
Yeah.
you know, that worked at NASA.
Yeah.
And what was he?
A Christian.
Born again, right?
Yep. Yep.
And he said what he told us, he told you, like there was a bunch of people in NASA.
Yeah, in NASA, he said you would be surprised how many believers there is. He said maybe not all Christian, but a lot of them know that they're, from what they've seen, that there is something definitely more intelligent to our design than just a big bang.
Right.
So it goes to show you, like you said, not everything is bad.
Today's show is brought to you by RevHicks.com, where you can go to listen to the latest conversations and shop for the freshest gear. Every time you buy the Rev's fresh merch, you help feed hungry children all around the world. We thank you in advance for your generosity. Now let's get back to the conversation. It's the Rev Show.
Right.
But what this phone has, every vain imagination that any person can have, you can instantly look it up.
Yeah.
There.
Like that.
You would have to go, you know, to some wild places before the internet. Like any kind of vain thing, it's there. It's there.
All right. Speaking to this, we were talking about it. Your algorithms and all your social media.
Yeah.
It knows you better
than you know yourself.
Talk about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you like when you pick up your phone, I'll put it to you like this, if you have to worry about somebody picking your phone up and scrolling through your feed, you might have a problem. Because it knows you better than it knows yourself. It will tell on you.
Did you see the ones when the guy pulls up and he's like, "Hey, do you mind if your girlfriend looks at your phone?"
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You know, so that's going to tell on you. You can erase like search histories or whatever, but that doesn't forget. So whenever you're scrolling, there should be no reason why something should come up because it knows what you're into. So if you're in the trucks, it's going to show you all kinds of trucks. If you're into skateboards,
we got everybody right now scrambling.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. Quick delete.
Yeah. Don't look at my history.
Yeah. No, but to bring it back in, that World Wide Web, what it was setting up was to get everybody prepped.
Yeah.
So at all times, you have the world connected to you. We just got done saying it's a part of you. They want to put chips in you. They want to do all this stuff like to make life more convenient, but it's really just another step closer to putting the world into you.
Yeah.
This is everything on this phone is things that you don't have or you can't have. Like you scroll through, you're like, oh man, I wish I could go there. Oh man, you see that? They just bought that, man. I wish I had. It's nothing you have or nothing you want. You know what I mean? You're like,
just the truth.
So at 24/7, you're looking at everybody's better life. I said to you the other day, the worst thing that they did on social media or for us is they put a like button. They put a heart button. It was different when you could just post a picture, have people comment, whatever. But as soon as they put a like button on that, you've now invited the world to rate your life. How much more does that impact your kid when they'll put it up, but if it doesn't get a good response, they'll take it down. You know what I mean? They're constantly rating their life off of the likes and follows and comments they get from each and every picture. The thing with the way that that world mindset is that it's very seldom you post something good that you're going to get the same amount of likes and follows and I should say views as you would if you do some of the 7 things that God hates.
Exactly.
You want to get views, you want to do the 7 things that God hates, be boastful, gluttony, do all them lustful, all them kind of things. You're going to get response. And these kids nowadays feel alone, hopeless. Just to have somebody see them, whether it's good or bad, is enough. And if this one got seen doing this, then I'm going to try to tread the water too. And if it's like that for us, we see so-and-so go to here, man, that looked good. So it's all the more compelling. There used to be a time where kids would look to their parents for the answers. Now you try to sit your kids down and talk to them. They know more about the conversation, more about the topic than you do.
Wow.
You walk away feeling defeated because you just got schooled by a 14-year-old. You know what I mean? Actually what happened was, and I follow so-and-so and so-and-so broke that down. That really didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
So you can't do nothing with them. And what does that go back to? Being disobedient to parents.
Man. Yep.
So the knowledge right now is outweighing wisdom.
Right.
The more you know, but there's no wisdom. Trump says they're the party of common sense, which would be this natural wisdom.
Yep.
So knowledge, if you have enough facts and stuff like that, it's hard to talk to your kids
Right.
when they'll school you on it.
Yeah. They're fact checking you as you're talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Even if you're telling an old story that you had a fun with a friend.
Yeah.
And they're checking you to see if everything you're saying
is right.
Yeah, lines up. Right. Even like I was thinking while you were saying that, it even makes you have a different identity.
Yes.
Because you're putting on another facade.
Yep.
Another person.
Yeah.
When you're taking videos or pictures, you are that influencer. You are that handle, that Instagram handle, that you are that at.
Yeah.
That's who you are.
Well, it's come down to like certain people. Like if I don't know who that person is, my wife will be like, and she'll give me their Instagram name. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
That's good.
You're like, okay, yeah, what happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who is that?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Oh man, that is like, it's crazy because that's who you are known by.
And it's there used to be a break, like just referring to the kids. You go to school, you might have some rough times at school, but when you got home, it was done.
Yeah.
Now it's 24/7. You got to be on. You got to be perfect. You're constantly comparing yourself, and I think this, if you want to call it whether the mentality or the spirit of comparison, has run rampant. It's one of the commandments. It's not to covet somebody else's.
That's right.
Life, right? If I got that correct.
You're right.
And that's why, because you start doubting that God is as good as he says he is. Mm-hmm. When you start comparing and you're saying, well, why do they have it and I don't? How come they get and I don't? It starts planting seeds of doubt of that maybe God isn't as good as what he says he is.
Mm-hmm. Doubt.
Yeah.
Jealousy.
If you walk around with that kind of mentality, that spiritually, that God isn't as good as what everybody, maybe for him, but not for me, you've already lost it, and you're sowing them seeds wherever you go.
Yeah.
I was telling you before that social media is short for medium. So when that was one of the things that got Saul in trouble with God, is that he couldn't hear from God anymore. So he wanted to consult a medium.
Explain to the listeners and the viewers, like what, and just in case, they have a moment, what is a medium? What are you talking about when you say
Medium is a divinator, someone that speaks to the
dead?
the dead, can go into different realms and more or less forecast your future, your past, present. These are people that basically using the spirit realm
Wow.
to give you advice.
Yeah.
And God says to stay away. That, I mean, that wasn't something that was just written recently. That was something that they dealt with back in the days of Moses, and when Saul went, he was in a stew. I think he was wanting to know if he should go to war or something like that. Wasn't that right when he the witch of Endor?
But he went to the witch of Endor.
He wanted to bring up Samuel.
Yeah.
And he couldn't hear from God anymore, so he figured he'd go to a witch to get the advice.
Yeah.
Medium is a witch, a modern day witch, or media is short or is plural for medium.
Wow. That's nuts.
Medium and media is the plural. That's plural. So when we go to social media looking for advice,
Wow.
rather than the things of God,
Holy man, that's like,
what you're doing
wow.
is
Mind is blown right now.
you're uploading everything about you into the medium. You're letting it'd be no different if you went and sat across from a fortune teller today and you turned over your bank statements, your car keys,
Wow.
your receipts, piece of your hair. Like back then you would have to give a piece of hair
Oh my
or something,
Lord,
some kind of
that's so
DNA to yourself
crazy.
for them
Yes.
that be able to cast spells
Yes.
on you, for them to be able to see over you. Now we're just giving it literally day by day. We're uploading that into the medium.
Oh my goodness. Look, exactly. Like you got the algorithm. It knows, Siri knows where I go
Yeah.
every part of the day. It knows what I like to drink, what I like to eat. It'll put up suggestions for me for advertisement. It knows my blood pressure. It knows my heart rate. It knows.
Well,
It knows you. And then now, I guess they shut it down a couple weeks ago. Was 23andMe.
yeah. Yeah.
People are putting their
DNA is put into social media.
Wow.
So right now, the biggest problem with that is they're like, oh, we don't want the health insurance companies to be able to get a hold of this information because they'll be able to prorate us considering our, like maybe you have a history of this, of heart issues in your family. So they'll prorate. They're not looking 10 years down the road. They're not looking even at it spiritually. The cloud has your literal DNA. And if everything that we've come to learn about where they're intending to go is AI and robots and human-like, all they need to do is a small little link to be able to take your DNA and to transfer that into something robotic. You don't know what the real repercussions of that could be.
Yeah.
But now they literally, for anyone that's done that, they literally have all of you.
Wow.
They have your DNA and have your likes, your worries, your favorite foods, your favorite bands, old high school pictures, whatever. They have all of you. We live I remember, you'll be able to, when the great grandkids or grandkids will be able to say, what was great granddad like? He used to be able to have maybe one blurry picture of him next to a car.
Maybe.
That was your grandfather.
Yeah.
Look at him. Now they'll be able to literally, your grandfather loved this, loved that. Oh, there he was. Yeah, he had a problem with that one that day. Literally everything your whole life is uploaded into this phone. And then we wonder why. I know you've been around to hear, oh, careful what you say. You don't want the enemy can hear you. The enemy can, well, you're not saying it anymore. You're just really picking up your phone and texting them, hey, enemy, this is how I'm feeling today.
Exactly.
And then you wonder why you're reaping seeds.
My goodness. Talk about that when you post stuff on social media and you're airing out your laundry or you're airing out your feelings. There's so many people on social media telling that You know, if they went down to Starbucks or they went to McDonald's, or that lady was in line, suffered me, and oh, the line was so long. Oh, this traffic is so bad. Oh, it's so cold out. And you got all this stuff on social media, all these words going in. And just like that witch of Endor
Yep.
got Saul's request, is the same way that what else is getting your request? What else is getting your negativity?
Yep.
Right. And not only that, like when you were telling, like, that's so true. Like they would take, and it's even today, they would take samples of hair,
Yeah.
skin, tooth, blood to make curses on people.
Yeah.
And do all that. So imagine all what you're feeding.
And you don't know
into
who's
this.
following you. You don't know who's looking at your stuff.
You
know
know
what I
what's
mean?
going on.
You don't know if there's a witch of Endor out there looking at your stuff. You think it's somebody selling you handbags. You know what I mean? You think it's, a guy who's selling sneakers.
I'm going to call my wife right now. You are not, watch who you follow, woman.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man. That's always been one of my pet peeves as a pastor, man of God, because I preach, one of my main underlying foundational things is what I minister a lot is watch what you say.
Yeah.
Watch the words that you speak. The only words that should be coming out of our mouth are the words of God.
Yeah.
Is our mouth, my prayers, my mouth, my everything. And I can't stand when people put up prayer requests on the thing. And because like you said, you don't know who in the world is looking at that prayer request. You might innocently be wanting to pray for somebody.
Yeah.
But you got other people wanting to PREY pray.
Yep. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's an entrapment that the enemy uses, that web. And we think we're innocently using the social media, but you don't know what, and we're wondering why our situations don't get better. And did you ever follow somebody that they're always in a shape? They're always in a shape, no matter what. They're always stuck in traffic. They're always, something happened to their food. They're always complaining about how high priced everything is, or this is that. And they're always in trouble.
Or you have people who always have something to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter what you post, they always have something to say. It's like, what's up? You know what I mean? So it's like critical of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really where, like I was saying back when we first started, when the enemy can get you alone, get you isolated, it's not hard to get cynical. It's not hard to think that God's good for everyone else, but not me. It's not hard to believe that you're coming up short. Like last time I was on, you're like, oh, follow him. I'm like, it's just pictures of my kids. You know what I mean? Because we all have business, so we got to promote and stuff like that. But you just never know. Like if I'm having a bad day, I try to stay off social media because I know somebody's going to be doing something, buying something, going somewhere, this, that. It's going to remind me that I had a bad day. And it's going to make me fall into the trap of comparison.
Yeah.
And no matter what you got, no matter what you did, there's always going to be somebody that's...
Always.
And now our children aren't comparing themselves to just each other. They're comparing themselves to supermodels, to Kardashians, to people that they're not interested in being like mom and dad. They're interested in being like an influencer. They want that kind of power. Like I said to you, like the like button on Instagram is a heart button. Just be careful what comes out of the heart.
That's good.
Because it guards your heart because it contains the cares of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so these are things I look at with my kids and even myself, like the danger of, comparison. It will rob you of your joy. It will rob you of your peace, and it will make you easier to be led into what this world wants to do. That it's nothing but chaos, nothing but confusion. And it's a scary time that if you pick your social media more to consult what you should do than your Bible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Joyce Meyer said, what if you picked your Bible up as much as you did your phone?
Wow.
For,
it's so true.
Like if you had a problem, if you picked your Bible up as many times you picked your phone up during one day, it'd be it'd be a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I worry that our kids have all the not that we have bad kids, but that they have all the great fruits of what church can do and what God can do for you, but the foundation of living it and walking it out. And when you just see everybody as a profile picture, you see everybody just as a Instagram handle, it's a lot easier to overlook people. And not that you're doing out of spite, not that you're doing it. The enemy will get you so wrapped up into yourself that you forget that maybe you're doing something like hurting this person, or it takes away being happy to see somebody when you see them.
I like that. It makes you numb. Like, you notice, like, it makes people like vanilla.
Yeah.
There's no expression because they've seen all what you own on social media.
Yep.
They've seen what you were going, where you went out to eat. You get together, even for church, you're just like, there's no conversation.
No,
there's
absolutely
nothing to
not.
be had. You're just like, okay, whatever. And that's exactly where the enemy wants. If the enemy can keep us apart and keep us from fellowship and keep us from community.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the purpose of why God created us.
Yeah.
Even all his creation, he created all things for him, by him, and he created humans in his image to commune with us, to be with us. That's why it's important to get to church. That's why when they ushered out COVID-19, that was the first thing they wanted people to do. Distance yourself.
Yeah.
Lock down. Don't go to church. Don't do that. The longer you stay out of church, the longer you stay out of family.
Yeah.
You become like, I don't need it no more. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And you get to that point to where, and that's where, like you said earlier, if the devil can get you isolated by yourself,
Yep.
you can be used a lot better as an instrument for him, for the negativity, for his system. You can be used for that. And what happens is you end up, like you said, if you're alone, Saul was alone.
Yeah.
He was alone. And that's why he consulted the medium.
Yeah.
He consulted that. And the Tower of Babel, it was a high place that they were reverential to the Lord. They didn't care about building. They said, we can do it without you.
We're going to make a name for ourselves.
We're going to make a name for ourselves.
Yeah.
But if you do it without God, you're doing it without a soul.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what you're making. That's what social media is making. That's what these phones are making. They're making soulless, emotionless things that can be taken over.
Yeah.
Because if your spirit is like, man, fired up, and you're on fire, the enemy can't touch that.
No.
But when you're cooled down and you're lukewarm,
Waxed cold.
Exactly what you said. Exactly. Waxed cold. You're instead of now being an instrument for God, you're now an instrument for the enemy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And like you said, it numbs you out. And I just remember that what I was saying to you earlier was we've went from a democracy, and I never finished the point.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Into it, just to tie into what you just said, to put a bow on it. We've went from 250 years, I think, right, of America, a democracy, into a technocracy. A technocracy is when the tech giants, the tech elite, rule the government. So there might be somebody in play that looks like he's running the world, but a technocracy is when technology is the main line for the country. That's where we're shifting into. Everything AI, like Uncle Tom was saying, Elon says a robot in your house. I don't have enough mouths to feed. I don't need another mouth in my house. You know what I mean? But these people look at it and they like smile at it. They welcome it. Like, yeah, more, technology, better. And the more you drift that way, the colder and colder your heart gets. The more machine-like you are. And you're not going to, in order for that scripture to come to pass, a full technocracy has to take place. And that's the footprints of living in a world of technocracy.
Yeah.
You're going to be disobedient. You're going to be, why would you be so selfish? Why would you be so prideful? Because everything's about you. Not that you're even trying to hurt people. It's that it's all about you. How do you keep people gassed up and forget about others. Keep gassing them up on themselves. Keep telling them how good they are. Keep commenting. And they're all good things. They're all good things. But when we start chasing them things, we forget. Your heart just kind of closes in a little bit. Your world becomes a little bit smaller. And I worry about that for my kids and my kids' kids. And I see a generation that I've just been really praying for, because if it takes that kind of effect on me, if I struggle with it and I've only had it half my life, that's all they know. How much harder is it for them? And
Yeah.
That's like,
They're the generation that's going to really, really have a hard time to pull out of that.
yeah,
Because just like the generation that came to build the Tower of Babel, whatever they were building to,
yeah,
and they wanted to be famous. And we know, like history, we were talking about this before. Anytime they built a tower or a temple or a pyramid, it was always to a deity,
yes,
a little g God.
mm-hmm,
And it was always to talk to them and commune to them. And they wanted to be superior and let that thing do their bidding. And that's what we're seeing now with technology, is the same exact thing as what they did back then.
yeah,
And what happened was we had such a long span of unbelieving into the spirit, unbelieving in not just God in the church, but didn't believe in the supernatural.
mm-hmm,
Don't believe in any of that. And the enemy's trying to do all he can to bring that back. And if he got to do it by other means,
sure,
by other portals,
yeah,
they had the Tower of Babel. We got social media.
yeah,
We got the iPhone. And we're coming into a generation now that people will think that this is nuts, but we are going to see things that we've never seen before, right before the Lord comes back.
oh, I fully believe
And that's
that.
why, though, the phones are making us zombies, making our kids zombies, that like you could be in the same room, but they're not talking,
No.
texting each other.
Yeah,
They're talking to each other,
Yeah.
but they're not communicating verbally. They're doing it by text. And when you got a generation that's become numb and soulless, that's a generation that can be used by the enemy.
yeah,
And that's scary.
yeah, because you can have
Yeah.
you can have all the fruits of going to church and you know, participating in church and all that. That's great. You know what I mean? It's not just a Sunday morning, Sunday night experience. And maybe like, I want my kids to actually have a day-to-day relationship with God, and that takes commitment.
Yeah.
I was talking to cousin Charlie about it. His kids today, I feel like there's no commitment
Man.
because things come so quick.
Yeah.
Things are just there.
Yep.
You, as a parent, your goal is to give your kids whatever you can.
Yep.
But I just feel like it's beyond instant anymore. It's just boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't, if you don't like it, you don't have to stay committed. And there's something about walking with God where he's going to try you. You know what I mean? Not tempt you, but he's going to see if you're committed. And that's a day-to-day walk. And I that's my prayer for this generation.
Amen. That's awesome. And as we land this bad boy,
Yep.
what would be the repercussions?
The repercussions.
Listen, of what would happen, you would think, to our kids, to me, to you, if all of a sudden every cell phone just died?
Man, be a whole lot of I think a lot of creativity going on. I had like so many different things I would do. Like, I remember when I was a teenager, I'd be like, I would draw, I'd be out there taking pictures, music. Like, now all that is intertwined into that. Like, I don't even take pictures anymore because it's so oversaturated with pictures that even the best photographers, their pictures are like, they're just
Nothing.
It's just oversaturated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we might actually get out and bother with one
You
another.
think so?
Yeah.
You don't think there would be like a meltdown, like a civil war?
They're
Like
calling. They're already prepping for that. Did you see that?
no.
Yeah. So here's maybe a topic for another show, but it was like 6 months before COVID. They were prepping for at the it was the World Council Committee. I forget what it's called. Prepping for
The World Economic Forum.
yes.
Yeah.
Their main focus at 6 months before when they had that was for an outbreak, pandemic. And then 6 months later, there was. This year's main focus was a complete
Blackout.
blackout.
I heard about that.
Yep. So we might find out.
Yeah.
I'll let you know how that works out. I'll mail you a letter.
Yeah. That's everything.
Yeah, that's everything.
That's everything.
Everything.
Make sure if your car goes dead, you find a pagan. Just run into a pagan. Man. So that is some crazy stuff.
But real quick, you know what entertainment means? We use this as a source of entertainment. Means detained for entry.
What?
Entertainment.
Detained.
So, detained for entry. So you're kind of locking yourself for something to come into you.
See, why do you guys say this stuff now?
I said it. I'll say it again.
Why are you going to say it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, all right. Man.
Yeah. I'll drop another one on you.
All right. Hit it.
I just, for my kids, I don't want them to be the generation that knows the price of everything, but the value of nothing.
Okay.
I think that's my goal.
All right. Knows the price of everything,
But the value of nothing.
but the value of nothing. So we're going to leave out with that. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys, we love you. Thank you for joining. And we will see you next show. Peace out.
Late.